Okay, you are all welcome to today's class. By God's grace, we'll be driving deep into Python, and we'll be looking at the data structures in Python programming language. One of the common data structure that we have in Python is list and dictionary. So these are the two things we are going to be looking at today. And just for a recap of what we do last week, let me create a new notebook. We all know by now, we should all know how to create a notebook from our Code Lab research laboratory. Last week, we talked about the types that we have in data types that we have in Python. And one of it, we have, let me just adjust for a recap. Let me have variable one. I have this figure there, and I have variable 2. I have this also. Go to school. Yes, variable 3. I have this. True. Then variable 4. I have this. So I have this twins. That's 3 points. This also. Okay. Yeah, with this variable, if I run it, they are all value variable. I just want to check their types so that, just to a recap, for the first one, you have to wait, the thing is connecting to Google Cloud Server. So now I've run it. I want to check for the first one, and don't forget we use this function to check for type. Let me check for type variable 1. So variable 1, and let's guess what will be the answer. The answer should be an integer. So that's just a recap. So you see, we have an integer. Now, we can also test for variable 2, type of variable 2. Variable 2. These are the things we have to know. Very important. Let me check for that also. So give me string. It will print the last one. So let me check for variable 3. Variable 3 should be what? Should be Boolean. So those are the types that we have in Python. While variable 4 will be float. So we want to go into another data structure type today. The data structure type we are going into is list, and dictionary. List and dictionary. So this the data type that we are going into today. Now, okay. Now, for this, I will start by saying what is a list. List is just a connection of data, and the connection can be data of the same type or data of different types. List is also similar to array in other programming language like JavaScript, Java, or any other programming language. So how do we declare a list? So let me insert my code. Now, let me declare a list. Let me call it station name. So we have different stations, maybe JPL stations and so on like that. I declare a variable. Now, to declare a list, we use this curly brace, this bracket type. So let me say I want to declare a list of string of name of station. So let me put one GPS 01. So every item in a list is separated by comma, as you see me doing. I have GPS 02, the list of my stations. I also have GPS 03. You can have as many as possible stations. Just for an example here, I have GPS 04. Now, let me run it. This is a list divided by a bracket like this, and it's also, it can contain different data types. You can have combination of string with integer with float as part of its elements. So I want to know what type of data is this. Let me say type of station name, Let's check the type. You see, it gives us list. So that's to say list is also part of data type in Python, but it's not one of the primitive data types that we looked at last week. So this is an advanced data structure in Python. So we will look at this list. We will look at it in form of indexing. How can we access elements in the list? So let me insert a code panel again. I want to go it so that we can see very well. So now we want to go into indexing, but before that, let me just put it on top here. List indexing. Indices. So now that is what we want to look at now. We have already declared a list up there, that is station name. So the index there is how can I access elements in the list. Now let me first print out the list so that we can see that it's real. Station name. Then you can have it. You see, we have print out our list. Now I want to get the first element. Now, to get any element in list, the indexing in list starts from 0 and 0 to infinity, depending on the dimension of your list. And if you want to check the dimension of your list, you can just say length of the list. That's the function you have to call. Then supply the name of that list, which is station name. Then run it. You see, it's giving us dimension of what? 4. That means there are 4 elements or items in that list. So now, to access the item, let's access the first item. I told us before that indexing start from 0 in any list. So now, let me say station name. Now, to access any element, you use this same curly brace and supply the index. So see the index now, I'm expecting GPS 01. Now, that is how to access any element. So that means this first element is 0, this one is 1, while this one is 2, and this one is 3. What will happen if I try to access element out of the dimension of this list that I have already declared? Let's say station name, let me access index 4, which I know. Let me see what we have. Yes, I have an error. Correct, because I don't have index 4 in my list. There is no element that have that address in my list. That's why I'm having an error called index error. So when you are writing your program and you see an index error, you should know that you have overdue. You have already exceed your boundary or exceed the boundary of that list. So that is on that. Now, let's move forward. Let me cancel this. I want to go into, there's something called negative indexing. Negative indexing. So let me attach a test here so that for our note later. Negative indices. Don't mind my spelling. Indices. Okay. Now, in negative indices, if you want to access an element, maybe in a reverse manner, we use negative index. So now let me access the last element in this list by supplying a negative index. So I'm expecting GPS what? GPS 04. Yes, good. That means if you want to go from the last element to the first element, you use negative index. So that means this GPS 04 is representing -1. This is -2. This is -3. This is -4. So let me access the first element. This is -4. This is GPS 01. So you should know that when you are going positively, it started from 0. But when you want to go negatively, it started from -1. Because there's nothing like -0. So that is on that. Now, we have talked about how to get the number of items in our list. Next thing is how to modify the list value. So that is our next of concern now. Let me print out the list so that we can see since I've scrolled up. Yeah, this is the list. Now, I want to modify element 2. I will just say, to modify, I will just call the address of that element. And I know that my element 2 is GPS 02 is of index 1. So I will call it address, which is index 1. I will now change it to, no, don't forget it's a string. I will change it to BMS 01. I run it. Yes. So I can print. Let me reprint my list to see what is happening, if what I have done is correct or not. So let's do that. Wow, I have been able to modify my list by calling the address of each item. So please note all this, because when we are doing our analysis, doing manipulations, we will be doing this a lot. So that is on that. In my agenda here, another thing we have to look at is a list can store more than one data type, as I earlier said. So let me say I want to, let me do something here. Let me insert another code. Actually, we don't have index 4, but I want to call an address that does not exist and attach a value to it and put 45. Let me see if it works. Oh, doesn't work because you can't modify, you can't add item like that to list. So the best thing you can do, this will not work. Let me put a comment. Sorry. This sorry, this will not work. So I will use another one. Now, to add item to a list. So I want to do adding item to a list, or rather, let me do this so that I can go into adding item and removing item on its own. Let me declare another list. Let me just call it station. Station equals to list. I want to have a string G1, comma. I want to have another number, comma. I want to have a string H6. Around this, you see, I have different data type. This is integer, this is string. So in a list, you can have different data types. Now, let's go to some operation on list. And one of the operations you can do on list is adding item to the former list. So to the list that you have before. Now, let us not forget our list, which is station name that I first declared. I will be using it a lot because I want to modify, I want to add more items to it now, you see. So let me add another, let me add item to it. To add item to a list, we use a method called append. You call the name of the list. So let me, to make it organized, come for those who want to reference it later, call it append. Append to a list. So that is the next thing we want to do now. To append to a list, just call the name of the list, which is station name, dot. You see now, all the method that is attached to that class of list, because I told you last week that class can also be a similar, can also be called a data type. And as we see, as we advance in Python, we know that class is the same thing as data type. So at times, if you don't want to confuse people, we say data type. You can quickly understand. But we also call it class. Every class has an attribute and a method. So this is a class now, a class of list. Now you can see all the method it has. And these are the things we are going to look at today. Almost all of this. And you too, when you are free, you can play around with every other method. The first one we want to look at is append. I want to append a data to that list. Let me call it SST12. Yes, I have append data to that list. Let me print my station name and see if that data has been added. You see, it has been appended. It will be appended to the what? To the last element. It will be appended as the last element in the list. So that is append, to add data. So append is for adding data. This is for adding data to a list. So that's what append does. Now, like that. Now, I will look at another one. What if you want to delete an element in a list? There's another method for that. In fact, this delete command can be used to delete anything in Python. And what is that? Let me just say delete. As you see it, very dangerous, because if we are not ready to delete, you don't need to go and call it. So we have station name. And which one do I want to delete? I want to delete the first item. We run this and check again. Let's check our station name. Station name. I'll run it. You see, it has been deleted. GPS 01 has been deleted from the list. So we don't use these options. So if you are using delete, you should be very careful. So that's one of the things. Now, next thing on my agenda here also are other useful methods that we can apply on list. One of it is count. Let me say station name. Let me attach something here. So we want to look at count method. Count method of a list. Okay. So under this count method of a list, what does count do? It counts the number of elements we have in a list. Oh, what's this? Sorry. I'm found my system is want me to save. No. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. I'm having one issue. Okay, I think I have solved it. My system just pop up something and I have to save. Okay, now let's continue. Count method of a list help us to know the number of elements. This help us to know the number of elements of item or element. Let me use item in a list. Okay, so if that is taken, let's practicalize it. Station name dot. When anytime you want to call a method is the name of that object, then you call the method upon it using dot count, and it will count. It will print out general. Okay. Oh, sorry. I have to specify the item I want. It will now tell me the number of occurrences. So I will have to redefine this. Sorry for that mistake. I want to know the number of times BMS01 appear in that list. That is the essence of count. So let me restructure this definition. This helps us to know the number of time, the number of time, and item okay, number of time of occurrence, of an item in the list. So, remind my English. Now, that is just that. Let me, to really practicalize this, let me make that list. Let me append more items to that list. Say station name. I will append dot append. Don't forget what append means. I want to append another BMS 01 to the list. So let me go back to, let me do the count again. Station name, let me just copy it, not to waste my time. And see the number of times it appears. I think we can understand now. You see, it's telling me that BMS 01 appeared 2 times in that list. So to confirm, let's print our list again. To see station name. So you see, now we have 2 occurrences of BMS 01. So these are one of the methods we can use. Another thing we can do again is sorting. We all know what sorting means. Sorting in a list. Sorting, we arrange the item sorting, we arrange an item alphabetically. This method helps us to arrange items in our list alphabetically. Sorry, I don't know whether that spelling is correct. So that is what sorting will do for us. Now, let's practicalize it. Let me call station name again. Station name dot sort. See, sort. Yeah, it has set no value. It has set no parameters. So if you run this, you see it doesn't print out anything. Let me print out the station name again. You will see that it has helped us sort it. Let me just do this. Calling there. You see now? You see, if you remember before, the other BMS 01 was at the end of the list. But now it has sorted it out alphabetically for us. So those are the things we have to take note. Yes, we'll go into another. I will encourage us to just look at other methods, copy and other things in list. While I go into dictionary. So that's another topic which I have to cover today for us to move forward. Call it dictionary.
Sorry, in the next, less than 20, 10 minutes, we will be logged out. So we'll use the same detail to log in for those joining us for the first time, please. We'll use the same login details to log in so that we will continue. Thank you.
Okay. So, what is a dictionary? We can quickly go to Google and check what dictionary is in Python. So, we look at 3W school as another place. I'm just going here so that you can know there are a lot of places to get materials and sort out for things. So you see, they define dictionary as a connection. Don't forget, list is also a collection. Another word for them is a data structure. It's a data structure, and we have several of them. So a dictionary is a collection which is unordered. It's not like list. List is ordered, but this one is an unordered. You cannot say sort on this dictionary. Changeable and index. It's unordered, it is changeable, and it is indexed. So in Python, dictionary are written with curly brace brackets, and they have key and value. So another definition which I want to give us is a dictionary is a data structure that has a key pair value, that is key and its value. So example is this, which we are going to adopt. Let me copy this and let's go back to our Python program. So we have this dictionary. Firstly, let's check the data type of this dictionary. Type, don't forget, type this dictionary. So, oh, sorry, I have a typo. Type this dictionary. And so you should give me dictionary. You see now? So it's represented by D. That's dictionary keyword. So we'll be looking at dictionary, what we can get from it, and every other thing. But before we move forward, I forget to tell us another very important thing in list is if you want to get index of any of these elements in list, let me insert it here. Let's say I want to get station name dot index see now, then I will supply the value. Let me get the index of GPS 01. What will be the index of this GPS 01 before our time runs away? You see it's 2. So that means 0, 1. What of the one that have replicates? Let's see what will be the answer. And that is BMS 01. Let's see what I want to see what will be the answer. It's 0. Now, what it does is, since I supplied BMS 01, it look for the first element you will see in that array, and it will give you the index of the first occurrence of that value. So I hope this is understood. So that's how index work. So when we come back, we just talk briefly on dictionary, how we can manipulate it. We can now continue. Let me just try to repeat myself before we move forward in dictionary. There's another method which I forget in list, which is very, very, very important. And it's called reverse. Reverse. That means you want to reverse list, maybe from top down, down to top. So we can say, as a name, station name dot reverse. You see, you can remove also any element. So reverse just take no any parameter. So if I want to print, let me just print it out. Print, or rather, let me insert another code to seal the result. Station name. You see, I have reversed. This was my former list, and now it has been reversed. So that's another method. We have remove also. So please, let's look at this method on our own, read about it. So we are good to go with dictionary in Python. And I've defined dictionary before for us as a connection also. It's an unordered connection. It's a collection that is not ordered. That is, it can be arranged anyhow. Now, let me define something reasonable to us as a geometrician or spatial analyst. I will want to say, let me have my observation on site. Observation. Want to define it. So, in my observation, I have a lot of things that I observe during that in a single observation. So I can couple all of them as a dictionary. Number one, I will have a project. What is the project which I am working on? So I would say, let me say, I'm working on digital mapping of Lagos State. Okay, so I can have date. What date? What's the date of the project? We'll be using this a lot. Now, one thing I want you to note, you see now, I am using an ordinary, which it will give me an error, but you can still use it. I think it will go. I will try it later. Let me just go back. Sorry. Now, all of them must be string for now. Date, 12/03/2020. Okay. Now, I can have, what is my total number of stations which I observe. Total let me say it, station numbers, just to make it short. Station number. See, it doesn't have a particular order. I just declare it, and it can take any data type. See now, my station number is 56, which is an integer. This is a string. This also is a string. So let me see. Yes, I have a valid dictionary. If you have any other connection which you want to, like we will see as we move forward, I will be adding more and more and more connections. So, if you want to access data from an observation, from a dictionary, I think that is our next goal now. Looking at the 3W school, they say accessing item in a dictionary. How can we access an item in a dictionary? There are different ways of doing so. The first way is more similar to the list that we have before. So before we move forward, let's just check the type of this. Yes. You can have a holistic note. So you see it's still dictionary. Now, another thing I want us to note, I want to use, I don't want to use string as the key. I think I'm moving forward too much. This is the key and this is the value. Please note it. This is the key and this is the value. In a dictionary, we can only have one key. That is, the key is a primary key in a dictionary. If I declare a date here, I cannot go ahead and go and declare another date. It will complain. So, key is very unique in the dictionary. Let's note that. Then I want to test this. Oh, give me error. That means you have to make it string. I just want to confirm that. So it should not give me error any longer. Yeah. Okay. Then if you try to let me declare my project 2 times, it should give me an error to tell you that key must be very unique. Let me just change the value to be 2. That's Lagos State mapping, digital mapping of Lagos State 2. I'm expecting an error because I have almost, it's not even giving me an error. Let me see. I'm coming. Print, or let me say observation. Oh, can you see? It didn't give me error, but it didn't give me correct. I don't know whether we are seeing something there to tell me that the last one he saw is the one he used for me. So there cannot be repetition. You should note that. In list, we can have repetition. Don't forget, I have repetition here. So if we are doing any analysis or we are keeping any record, we should know the best data structure that we can use for it. List can have repetition. Maybe you are observing a station for several times and you have many station names. The same station name can occur 20 times, 50 times. You know that list is best for you. But when you come to dictionary, you will take the last one just as he has done for me here. So let me just do, okay, go back. Now, I want to just change this so I can. Accept my. Okay, sorry. Load it a bit. Okay, let me change this. Let me just remove this so that we are not getting confused. Now, let me run it back. Then let me run this back. Give me my dictionary back. You see, now it's not normal. Now, I want to access data from the dictionary. And number one way of doing this is to call my observation, then just like list. But now, address to this dictionary is now the key. You use key as an address. In list, you use its index as an address. So I want to call this address, which is project. So let me see what will be the answer. So give me digital mapping of Lagos State. Good. That is one way of accessing elements in the dictionary. Now, another way is to say observation using get method. You use what we call get method. You see, just like list that has several methods, in dictionary also, it has several methods, inbuilt methods like clear, copy, from key, get, item, key, pop item, and so on and so forth. So we want to use get now. What do I want to get? I want to get a project. Project. You see, if I want to get date, I can get it. So whichever one that is convenient for you when you are writing your code, you should just use it. You see, it has given me date. So that is how to access data in a dictionary. So they use get method here. As you can see, they just call that dictionary. So what of changing values? Oh, I discover I have made a mistake in my dictionary and I want to change some of the value. Maybe I make mistake in the date. So what I will do is just to call my dictionary, observation, use any method. No, you just use this address. Let me use this address, which is date, and say equals to. Before I used 1201 and I discover it's an error. So I want to use 12/09/2019. So I've corrected it. Let me save it. Now I can just print out my observation so that I can see my correction. You see now, the date has changed. The date has changed. So that is how to change value in an array. Change value in an array. Now, another function you can do, which I will not go into today, is looping through a dictionary. Next week, we are dealing with looping and conditioning. So let me not go into that today. These are the things you can do with a dictionary. And think of any application. Think of real world problem that you can use all this data structure for. There are many in survey. You want to keep record of a parcel of land. that parcel of land must have a plan number, which is a unique value. It must have the name of the owner. That's a dictionary on its own. So just think of a dictionary like a normal English dictionary, where if you are looking for any word, you can find the meaning. So that is just how it works. Thank you for listening. That will be the end of today's tutorial. I will send this note to Ross immediately we end the meeting. I don't know if there's any question. Any question?